Welcome to After the Show, your weekly movie podcast brought to you by A. Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Good afternoon. Happy weekend. Happy weekend, Sid Talk.
Well, happy weekend to you. Is it a holiday now? The weekend is a holiday? Every 7 days? Every 5 days?
How are you enjoying your weekend?
I'm retired, so life is a weekend. We're just going to say, I'm going to make a lot of people go, oh, must be nice. But yeah, that's how I feel about life now.
You do?
Yeah.
Every day is exactly the same?
No, that it's all weekend.
Quoting the Nine Inch Nails song?
Oh, probably, yeah. I mean, I want to elevate myself to the 9 Inch Nail.
Yes.
Are we talking about Closer? Closer's a bit severe.
No, the song Every Day is exactly the same.
Oh, I have to listen to that and remind myself.
Well, it's a bit of an obscure cut.
This was not the before the after the show discussion. The before after the show discussion was pretty slim pickings.
It was actually very Willy Wonka.
Yes, you telling me about Willy Wonka stuff and a movie that you invented in your own head. You thought Willy Wonka and the Glass Elevator was a movie, and then you've discovered it is not.
I thought I even had it on Blu-ray. I even checked on my DVD listings because it was that vivid in my mind that
this
I'd seen.
This is quite the invention of yours.
So when they talk about pure imagination, this is pure imagination. I willed a movie to exist that does not exist. The only thing I can come to, conclusion-wise, is I read the book, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, and I saw the end of the Gene Wilder movie, which kind of covers it a little bit. And I merged those two together, and in my mind, there's a movie of that.
Pure imagination.
So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't remember what happened in the end. I'd have to read the book again.
No, you've got to go with whatever you invented in your mind. That's what's so funny about it.
All right, it's Saturday, March the 2nd. This is After the Show, or a movie review podcast. Every week we look at a new movie. This week, on episode 828, we look at the movie Wonka. It's a 2023 movie, out now on 4K, Blu-ray, streaming, rated PG-13? Is it a PG-13? No, a PG. Anybody can see this one. And it's from our friends at Warner Brothers, who sent us a 4K disc for review. Sid Talk, give us a synopsis of Wonka.
I think since you're inventing Wonka stuff, you should give us a synopsis. You've loved it longer than me.
With dreams of opening a shop in a city renowned for its chocolate, a young and poor Willy Wonka discovers that the industry is run by a cartel of greedy chocolatiers.
That is not your synopsis.
It's not. It's the one off the box.
I know, but you should give your own because you love it. Did you miss the point of my...
Yes, I missed the point.
Right, you're supposed to be like, what does it mean to you?
I missed the point.
It's a different question, I guess.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just Willy Wonka's origin story, let's be honest.
It is.
Let's sum it up.
So, Sid Talk, what did you think of Wonka?
I loved it. Period.
Did you love the original?
I did. I mean, I don't reckon I saw it until I was older, because for me, it wasn't a thing that you watched all the time as a kid. Like Wizard of Oz was that for me. So I would have watched it when I wasn't in my formative years, most likely. And I just loved it because it's dreamy and sweet, and because all those shitty little children got their comeuppance.
Yeah,
it was like kinda bitter and angry.
It's kind of angry, dark, and sinister, that movie.
Sinister, yeah.
This movie is not that, I don't think. It's a bit more family-friendly, uplifting.
Yeah, totally.
Kind of nice. Would you call it a nice movie?
Yes.
Nothing offensive. Maybe there's a little bit of offensive. Is there a fart joke in this movie?
Fart joke, is that offensive? Let's not.
Is there a man in a fat suit in this movie?
Let's not say it's offensive.
Yeah. There's some questionable choices, let's say. Yeah, I really liked it. You know what? I don't really like musicals. And this movie literally starts, zooms in on our hero here, and he starts singing. I was like, oh, right off the bat, singing? Thought we would, there'd be a build-up to
ease
singing.
Me in.
Yeah, but no.
Because you don't love musicals.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't love them. And if it's the kind of musical where every single word is sung, I'm pretty much tuned out. I just can't deal with it. But this is a musical, but I feel like it's 50%. No.
Not even.
No, 40% musical, 60% comedy film.
Yeah, it's really not a lot of musical going on.
And what songs are there, though, are quite good, I thought.
Sweet and nice.
Yeah, the one that stood out to me, and I don't know the name of the song, and it made me like feel good or something, like, you know, where you feel something for a song, was the one where he was floating on the balloons above the city. But I can't remember what the song was called. That's how memorable it was.
That's how much you loved it.
Going into this, what did you think would be the origins of Willy Wonka? And was this what you thought it was going to be? Because I don't think this is a perfect movie. There's some things I don't like about it.
I think it's exactly, I had no preconceived notion except there's going to be a villain. It's going to feel very extreme, like Little Orphan Annie or something like that. You know, Oliver Twist, like very severe. Something very evil's going to try to happen. And I was right.
Because it's got that old school, these are the baddies, these are the goodies kind of deal.
Absolutely. Like mustache twirling villains.
Yeah, there are literally mustache twirling things going on in
I'll be honest, I'm going to put this out there. I'm fine that the movie exists, but I don't think we needed to dig it up and make the origin story of Willy Wonka. It exists now. If we're going by books that were written that tell this story, that's fine.
We're not.
So I was very neutral about, because I don't think we need an origin for everyone that we've ever invented. How about if we just invent new characters? But that being said, I enjoyed it. And I like the concept of Willy Wonka as a person who exists in the world, who's actual kind of magical and nice and not, you would say he's not greedy, but what happens by the time we meet him in 1971, when the movie is set, is that he's like the biggest chocolate factory in the world. So like, I don't know about not being ambitious.
Right.
He is ambitious because he wants to build the biggest chocolate factory and make the best chocolate. So I don't know how sweet he really is.
He's like an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Wants to make people happy. And it's like Fantasy Island, but with chocolate.
In this version of him, like he's a magician of sorts, right? Which is that alluded to in the other movie?
Well, everything is a little bit magical, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's no explanation in the other movie. He just does magical shit, and you're like, oh, what's this? Is this chemistry? Is this magic?
Right. And then this one, we get the idea that he's a magician, but he also pulls a bunch of shit out of his hat without doing a magic act. So
right, there's definitely something.
I'm saying he's just magical.
Yeah, and he's collected things from around the world. At this point, when we meet him, he's already collected things from all around the world. He's got like stuff from Peru and, all these different ingredients in his chocolate case. So he's already had a billion adventures, it seems. This isn't the start of his story.
Yeah, exactly.
When you first meet him, he's coming into town. You're like, oh, is this how No, he's already established that he can make all this chocolate. He's got like it seems magical, that little case that he's carrying around.
Absolutely.
So,
he's captured lightning clouds and things like that. So yeah, he's magic.
Guy's literally like the David Blaine of chocolate, right? And people, he's very good with people. Like he can gather a crowd really quickly. I'm not surprised though, because his chocolates in this movie even. See, that was the thing that I thought this movie was going to lack. And I thought it was going to lack like any wonder with his confectionery. He's immediately making things that make you float in the air.
Exactly.
I thought that stuff.
Oh, so now we're going to have an origin story of the origin story.
Yeah, I believe there's clearly a massive adventure that happened before he came to this town.
Absolutely. Let's make it a Netflix show.
Yeah. And there are things I didn't like about this movie. What they mostly were the very British kind of comedy stuff that they
like the really evil lady and the really bad teeth and the really severe.
Yeah, some of it's really stupid in that like Benny Hill / comedy of yesteryear.
Yeah.
Including the man in the fat suit.
Yep.
Which was just dopey and a stupid plot point anyway.
Yeah, because you can never stop making fun of fat people because they're at the bottom of the fucking rung.
Yeah,
and I don't, whatever anyone's opinion of that is, really think about it, and it's the truth.
There's like quite a few like old school English, kind of very English, Mary Poppins era type stuff that kept getting on my nerves. It was like, you know, the three bad guys who own the different chocolate stores.
Yeah.
Those three were like, I don't know what they were like. They were just awful. They were kind of annoying, let's say. They always had a stupid crack joke. It wasn't very funny. I was wishing they would shut up and we'd just get back to like Wonka having to sing songs.
Like no villains, just Willy Wonka.
Yeah, when they kind of like, setting it up as I love a heist movie, but it didn't seem like it fit in this movie.
Agree.
You know, that whole heisty middle part of the movie.
Yeah.
Industrial espionage type deal. Espionage within the chocolate world. I don't know. Some of it didn't fit for me. And, you know, they're being locked in a vat of chocolate at the end. Like Wonka is in a vat. And it's supposed to be like, could they die? Well, clearly they're not.
We know he doesn't die.
Right. And so that peril didn't even need to be there. I would have even preferred another song instead of that scene.
That is weird.
Because it didn't feel perilous. It was clear they were going to get rescued at some point.
Clearly, because we know he survives.
Yeah, so there were things I didn't like. Was there anything you didn't like on the didn't like parts?
I agree with the like overly caricature British bad guys. It's
like a bit too British. If that's a thing.
Just so everyone understands, you are British. So
clearly. And even I am put off with
You mean too
something.
much? I've always joked since I've met you. We met in 1998, 1999, back in the olden days. And that my exposure to British people is movie and television. And so these are the characters that I've always been exposed to.
Yeah.
British people have the really big accent and they're like, oh my God. And they got really bad, gross teeth and they zoom in real close on their face to make them look distorted and weird. And then you've got Benny Hill and things like that. And that's what I've always thought. And they're just sort of perpetuating that.
Yeah, this movie really goes to town on the horrible yellowy teeth. And
Yeah. The whole idea of this woman capturing people to make them indentured servants to work in her laundry underneath her, whatever it is, boarding house.
Mrs. Scrubbit.
And I do think of that as like Annie or Oliver Twist. You know what I mean? It's very...
Yeah, the workhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they were going for, it looked like to me. Like, let's try and be like a Charles Dickens thing and a Willy Wonka thing and all that kind of British, malarkey. Let's try and mix all that together and make it feel...
Because, it's super criminal.
Yeah. And some of it just felt like it was not needed and kind of just lowest common denominator, not really that funny.
Right.
So there were the things I didn't like. But then again, I did weirdly like the singing. I actually like Timothée Chalamet's rendition. I like how he seemed to put his all into the actual singing of the songs. As far as his personality kind of came across, he did a little laugh here and there, like it wasn't just singing the song.
Right. It wasn't super polished.
Right.
It wasn't like Broadway singing, which I think is what you don't like. So I think that's why you were like, oh, this is all right.
Yeah, and some of the songs, I was like, those are catchy songs. I've got Pure Imagination stuck in my head right now. I know that's not a new song.
No,
but there's a new rendition of it in this movie, which Timothée Chalamet sings, and I thought he did it really well. Weirdly, I'm gushing over the musical part.
You are. I'm shocked, but I'm impressed.
Let's get on to the cast. Timothée Chalamet plays Wonka. What did you think?
Really good. I was impressed, and I had no expectations whatsoever.
I'm impressed with Timothée Chalamet in general. Bones and All. Remember that movie?
Yes.
He was very good.
I thought you meant you were impressed with him. Bones and All.
Yes, exactly.
Bones and All is not a Willy Wonka story. So
it's not. That's what I'm saying.
If you go look up Timothée Chalamet, don't think that he is Willy Wonka in every movie.
No. He was also in Dune, and he's in Dune Part 2 coming up. And he's very different each time you see him. Isn't that a good actor?
I mean, he's just good. Yes.
He's not like sticking to the same role all the time. He can do this where it's chintzy and musical and very Hollywoody. And then he can do something like Bones and All, which is not that at all. It's insanely gross and stuff.
That was really interesting. I like that one.
We've got Carla Lane as Noodle, and she's really the secondary character in this whole thing. What did you think of her?
Excellent, because she had that grounding effect You know, she's the most real. She's the cynical child. Well, preteen or teen. I don't know how old she's supposed to be.
I feel like she's supposed to be about 12.
She has a good reaction. You know, we're talking big. It's a big movie. It's big expectations. And yet when she's delivering her lines, it's very correct. She's real cynical as a child because, well, she's been abandoned with the lady with the really big bad teeth and the one who's enslaved them and all that. And so, but she's to me is like the thing that keeps her feet on the ground in the movie. You know, you've got the wacky comedy. You've got Willy Wonka, who is magical and dreamy, and we know it. There is no question about it. And she's just like a real person in the world. I like that.
Yeah. We've also got Olivia Colman and Tom Davis as Mrs. Scrubbit and Bleacher. Scrubbit and Bleacher is the name of the laundry service. What do you think of these two? These are the yellow teeth kind of...
Yeah, I mean, they did what they do, right?
Dopey kind of...
Yeah, and they do that very well.
Yeah.
It just doesn't appeal to me.
I mean, I love Olivia Colman. She can do anything. And this clearly shows that she can do this, which I don't think she's done before. But the characters are a bit too cartoonish for me. I know this is a kids' movie at heart. I think they're even insulting for kids, those actual characters.
Yeah, I think a lot of children be intelligent past that at this point.
Yeah.
Our evolution.
The Tom Davis guy playing Bleacher, and he was supposed to be funny when he was supposed to be sexy at some point.
Well, no, he was supposed to be funny,
it wasn't funny though, was it?
Ridiculous.
I was like, I hope this is really funny when he tries to seduce Mrs. Scrubbit, and then I'm like, this isn't that funny.
It's because he did the thing with his mouth. Yours
is funnier than that.
He's like that.
We've got Great British Baking Show's Matt Lucas as Prodnose. What do you think of him?
I mean, he's just one of the...
He's basically just Matt
villainous,
Lucas.
Yeah.
Patterson Joseph as Slugworth. He's the other mustache. He's the main mustache twirling bad guy. He's okay. I actually kind of like that guy.
The actor himself, yeah.
And Keegan-Michael Key plays the chief of police in the worst fat suit ever. I thought he was okay until he had a fat suit. And then I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, that was very poor taste. Yeah, I mean, I don't care. I don't really care. I'm just like, first of all, the guy likes chocolate. And then we're insinuating that because he eats chocolate, he's just going to become a fat comedy slob. And I find that, I don't know. It's like, really?
And it comes along very quickly.
And how did this pass all of the writing meetings? I mean, the fat suit is good because I'm not doubting that in a comical way, he's become very fat in about a week and a half. But yeah, it just seemed like, really? Can we not think of something, I'd rather have him. So the deal is he's the captain
of the police,
and he's being bribed by the other chocolate competition guys, and essentially being told to do away with Wonka because Wonka's chocolate is so good. We don't want any competition. But the thing is, he's addicted to chocolate hardcore. Here's another funny thing I like in the movie is that there's a Catholic church and like a bishop guy or whatever he is who protects this underground chocolate syndicate because he's also addicted to chocolate in a way that's almost like over hypersexual, which is really weird.
Yeah, it's very strange.
When he eats the chocolate.
I actually thought that was funny, though.
And so this cop is supposed to be helping protect, be part of this whole hiding, protecting these chocolate guru, like Tony Soprano's of chocolate, because he's addicted to chocolate and they give him free chocolate all the time. And theirs is they give him like the high grade or whatever they have hidden away in a vault. And then all of a sudden he gets fat because they give him more chocolate to go kill Wonka. It's like, when you say it, it just sounds dumb.
Yeah, it does. I don't think the plot is that great when you try and pick it, when you listen to it.
I like the plot as in what his objective is to come to this city. What city are we in?
I have no idea.
Because the original's set in London, right?
I have no idea.
Okay, so we're in a city that I think is London, but a lot of people have American accents and, so it's a little questionable. But Wonka, knowing that there's a city where it's like the greatest restaurants and the greatest chocolatiers in the world, and he knows he's developed the greatest chocolate and he wants to come here. It's also tied to memories of his mother who taught him how to make amazing chocolate, and she died when he was a kid. And his hope he has this sort of like unrealistic hope because she said, someday when you share your chocolate with the world, I'll be there by your side. But then she died, and his mind is like, once I do this, I'll see her again, right? Or she'll be here with me or something. So he has that sort of dream. I don't mind that because that's a good line to follow. And knowing there has to be a villain or some sort of obstacle in the way, that is fine. But the extremity of it could literally be an animated series, you know?
Yes, for sure.
Which would be awesome, right? Make a Willy Wonka animated series. If you're going to keep using old material, then go for it, right? Then you don't have to worry about weird CGI. Like, we haven't talked about Hugh Grant yet, but that just freaked me out.
Oh, weirdly, I didn't put Hugh Grant down, but Hugh Grant is the Oompa Loompa.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's really it's really distracting and not good. I hated it.
I liked Hugh Grant, actually. I didn't like the CG, the thing, whatever they did to him. But I liked, if you just subtracted the visual and just his voice, it would be fine.
Is it my imagination? More imagination. But in the original movie,
yeah,
the Oompa Loompas were not that small.
No, they were not.
They were just, they were hired. They were little people they hired, obviously. But they weren't even tried to give the impression that they were like only
3 foot tall.
Yeah, that they were like, in this, he's like a foot tall.
Yeah.
He's very, very small. The way they have him moving, they've made
He does say he's smaller than most, though.
He does, I guess. But the way that we meet an Oompa Loompa is Wonka has picked chocolate off of an island where they live, and they see that as stealing, and now he has to come get it back or somehow get it paid back or whatever. We don't know then how the Oompa Loompas become actually woven into part of the manufacturing of the chocolate later in the run, but that's how we meet the Oompa Loompa.
Yes.
But we know what happens these days. They get motion capture, facial recognition, facial capture of the person, and then they're turning him into this Oompa Loompa. And it just wasn't, it had that uncanny valley problem.
It had a bit of a stop motion-y look to it.
Yes, and there were times when it was like he wasn't even grounded on reality. His little body kind of slipped around a little bit.
Well,
and I
hated how it looked, but I liked the actual character. I thought Hugh Grant really put some personality.
Yeah, because he was like a snobby little Oompa Loompa, like really snobby about things, and kind of like a
he was
magical...
basically Hugh Grant.
Oh, damn, throwdown.
Yeah. But I really liked him. I thought he was good. Directed by Paul King. He directed the 2 Paddington movies that were very popular in the last few years. We didn't see the 2 Paddington movies, but from seeing the trailers of them, I get the gist. They're like this with Paddington.
Yeah.
They're very family-friendly, but with a fun adventure in the middle of it. So what do you think of his directing?
I think that he got the best out of the people from his point of view. So we're going to say that this director was sitting behind the camera laughing their head off at the people being the ridiculously comic. I'm just assuming. Otherwise, it wouldn't pass muster, right? So whatever he got them to do, and Mr. Chalamet to be like emotionally invested in our Willy Wonka from our memory, I feel like that is really good. And then just the look of it. It looked cool, and I didn't have any problem with production at all. No,
it was a very nice looking movie. And I even like the part with the giraffe. Why is there a giraffe in this movie?
Yeah, that's so weird.
Willie needs giraffe milk for his finest chocolates. So
he goes and milks a giraffe.
Yes, there's an actual giraffe milking scene. That sounds crazy, but that happens.
So, we've been watching The Apprentice, British Apprentice, right. And when they made that really bad video game, which every project is bad in that show, but everything that they have to challenge, they have to do. But when the guy from the video game people said, if you're going to make it weird and over the top and really out there, nonsensical, surreal, just lean into it, right?
Yeah.
So this movie could have used a little more lean into the weirdness, but it had a good balance of that.
It did. IMDb reviews, what are those?
Those are people like us who go on some platform on the internet and talk about their feelings and thoughts about a movie. But these are people who seem to only tell you their 1-star level review, which means they didn't like it. And let me give you some classics. Waste of time. Worst movie I ever saw. Or the newest version is It's So Woke.
Right. All right. So this first guy thinks he's clever because his subject is, come with me and you'll be in a world lacking imagination.
Oh, listen to him. He's made some effort.
He says this movie was advertised as an origin to Willy Wonka. Instead, it should be advertised as a musical that has a merry-go-round plot and never actually progresses. We don't know anything about Wonka that we don't know from the original at the end. I mean, we do. We know a whole adventure he went on with a giraffe. An
adventure, and about his mom, and, you know.
Yeah, we know a lot about him, actually, extra stuff. So
shut up.
Shut it.
Shut it. Shut it, mate.
All right, number 2. Just bad. This movie was absolutely bad. Don't get me wrong, I like the original movie, but this one is bad. I didn't even realize it was a musical at first, and then I figured it out very quickly.
Well, you reckon it takes like 5 seconds?
You literally need 5 seconds to figure out it's a musical.
That is hilarious.
And the final guy says, dull and lazy. The movie had none of the appeal of the original. It doesn't qualify as a sequel. The musical numbers are weak. The casting is terrible. The entire movie plays out like a cheap stage production and nobody wanted to be there. It's sad and for unlikable types.
Sad and for unlikable types?
Yes.
What's that?
They're the kind of people who like this movie, the unlikable types.
Oh, we're unlikable. I have no problem with that.
So those are the people on IMDb who did not like the movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They hated the movie, but we kind of liked the movie.
I really did, because maybe I was in the mood for just a nice, light,
it's definitely light.
It's lovey-dovey, as in, I mean, I know he's going to survive because I've seen him 40 years in his future.
That's why I'm saying it didn't even need the peril. Another song would have been fine.
But you need an opposition, right? You need something for him to have overcome. I mean, that's how storytelling works, I suppose. Maybe that's boring and it's an old trope, but for us to know that he had to push through to really make this all happen, I don't mind that, but yeah, it's a bit.
Something lacking for me was there's a point in the movie where Willy opens his own chocolate shop, and it's very brief.
Yeah.
And then it's done. I would have liked more of the creation of the chocolate shop and the chocolate shop occurring, but it just.
You mean you want a DIY show about how they built?
Yeah, like The Block.
The Block from Australia.
Australian TV, yeah.
We watch very international television. We watch we don't watch The Block.
No, we don't.
We watch Gogglebox from Australia, and on Gogglebox, people watch TV.
Correct.
And those people watch The Block, and so we see about 2 minutes of it at a time, and we know the whole show. That'd be hilarious if they turned building the Willy Wonka factory on The Block.
The Block. All right, so extras. We did not see any extras. Why didn't we? We had some extras. We just didn't watch them. I
never watch extras, so.
I tend to.
You do.
I'm going to give Willy Wonka. It's not Willy Wonka. It's just called Wonka, this movie. Wonka. I'm going to give Wonka a 7 out of 10.
I'm going to give it an 8.2.
All right.
Because I really had fun with it. I can understand it has flaws. I'm not blind. I'm not delusional. But it as an experience of just a nice movie, I loved it.
And it's definitely fun for all the family. I don't think anybody could be offended by it.
I mean, never know. You can't say
unless
that.
You don't like yellow teeth, maybe a fart joke.
I mean, you're British. Are you offended?
I'm milking a giraffe. No, I'm not offended.
Are you a giraffe? Are you offended?
If I was a giraffe, I would be like, can you milk me? You know what I'm saying? It looked very pleasant.
Oh my God. That went to a place I didn't expect.
Thank you to Warner Brothers. Next week, we're looking at the movie Poor Things. Oscar nominated. Do you know this one?
I know.
It's the one, you do know it, because we watched Jonathan Ross and Willem Dafoe was on there advertising it. Remember?
Barely.
Well, Emma Stone, Willem Dafoe, Poor Things. We'll see that next week. Movie recommendations. I'll give you Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the original. And another movie that's pure imagination from around the time, Time Bandits.
Oh, Time Bandits. There's one that may or may not have aged well. I don't even know.
When I was a kid, these movies kind of stood together. They used to be on Bank Holiday Mondays. We'd watch them on TV. Time Bandits was a little bit adult in its themes.
A little bit.
But still, you could get away with watching it as a kid. And I just thought it was really funny. So Time Bandits, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
And mine are going to be 5 movies from the 20th century, which means it was from 1901. This is the 1900s we're talking about, kids, to 1999. And these are in the action adventure department. And funny enough, they kind of go in line with, family-friendly-ish movies. So I have The Goonies, Children in Peril, Jumanji. I don't know that I loved Jumanji, but I think I liked it more than a lot of people at the time. Herbie Goes Bananas, which is, again, I don't know how it would hold up.
I do like the Herbie movies. I think they're really fun.
Hook, which I actually liked Hook, so I don't care what anyone says. And A Series of Unfortunate Events, which I also enjoyed.
So those are our movie recommendations. Hey, Scully stuff this week. I've been playing a game called Super 56 on Steam. Sid Talk, you've seen nothing of this, so I'll explain it to you.
Thanks.
Do you remember the game WarioWare on the DS?
Yes.
Where it was just tiny little mini games that you had to do, like, do you remember? Like, you had to blow your nose or, like, weird little things.
Yeah.
And on the DS, it was all, like, you just used one button. But it presented you with something, and then you had to figure out what to do. It's like a nose in the middle of the screen with a bogey hanging out. And you had to press the button to suck the bogey back up. That was like the game. And it was a bunch of different wacky things that you had to do.
Bye.
Well, Super 56 on Steam is a indie game that kind of, I would say, copies WarioWare, but it doesn't exactly copy it. It's like WarioWare was made by somebody on drugs.
Wasn't WarioWare kind of like that?
Yeah, WarioWare was kind of like that, but it was also, WarioWare had like a family sensibility to it, where Super 56, which is basically 56 challenges in this game, they're all played with one. You only use the A button for every single thing.
Oh.
So it's just one button. You've just got to figure out what the button's used for when it presents you with the thing. And all the different mini games are based on things that you might know. Like one of them that I tried yesterday was basically the game Doom, but you had one button, you had to shoot all the demons. And then another one, like, it's very silly. Another one was like a man playing tennis with his butt. It's very bizarre. It's
pure imagination.
Yeah, it is. The title screen has a naked man on it doing like some yoga pose.
All right.
It says Super 56. It's got like a VHS kind of filter over the whole thing, so that even makes it a bit wacky. And when you press play, like I say, there's only one button. Even to navigate the menus, you only have one button. So that's kind of like a joke, because you've got to press the button quickly to move the menu up and down, and then hold it to like select something. So one button, everything is a surprise when you come to it. Like it could be a game of Pong that you have to do, or like one of them's smashing up a car, and that's kind of like from the old Street Fighter game, but they've kind of made it weird because the car is like in the shape of a dog. It's very... If you like games like Katamari Damacy or WarioWare, this is the game for you.
I don't know. I think Katamari's in a class of its own.
Yeah, but you know that bizarreness that you're like, what the hell even is this? What were the people thinking when they made this? That's what this game is. There's a demo on Steam if you want to just try it out. And the full game is pretty cheap, $6. So Super 56, it's on Steam. I highly recommend it. Sid Talk, what's for dinner?
Jersey's Mike. What we're going with tonight, because we've been cooking all week and it's nice weather outside, so I can go for a drive with the windows down.
Jersey's Schmike.
Jersey's Mike.
All right. And what's your, advice to people?
You mean advice that's not advice?
Yes.
It's not really advice. It's observation. Yet again. I feel like I have this also in my own life, this thing about feeling like you need to have a purpose or a reason or find a meaning or be productive in some way to contribute in some way, blah, 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 right? Other than just your general, like, care for your own self. The way I perceive it, you raise your own money, you buy your own stuff, you take care of your life, right? But purpose, I think is really overrated. Like if you feel your purpose in life is to become a brain surgeon because you want people to, to be able to heal people with whatever, that's fine. I don't know if that's a purpose, but that's fine if that's what you call it. Most of us don't have that, right? That feeling that I don't anyway, and I don't know about you. If you struggle because you think you've never found a purpose, and so you feel guilty and you feel lazy or you feel like, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. You can just live your life. Like get up every day, do your thing. I do have a thing where my perception of living in the world as a human in the species is you fend for yourself, as in I do, in our society, I had a job. I worked for many years. I made money, bought my own house, paid for my own food, that kind of thing. I do have that where you need to but I don't know if that's a purpose. It doesn't give me meaning. It's just a means of surviving, right? Like so I don't starve to death or so I don't have to live with my mom for my whole entire life. But I don't feel this pressure or need to actually find a purpose. I think it's been buried in my brain by just either popular culture or by people having this idea that if you don't have a purpose, and some people think by having children, there's your purpose. Well, I'm somebody's child. And I am not the only purpose of my mother's life. I can assure you. That's not how it works. She's a person of her own. I'm one of her children. I don't give her life meaning or purpose. I'm just part of her life, right? I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people think they're failing all the time. Even at my age, I'm 56, people my age or older, that they've never found a meaning or purpose or done anything meaningful. How about if you just live? Consume what you need to, build some things, make some things. I mean, I'm into creating things and learning, and I like that as my baseline. One of my, I guess you could say a smaller purpose, I'm putting that in quotation marks, could be that, you and I met a long time ago, and then we chose to get married. And one thing that gives life meaning is keeping our relationship good. I assume that's my interpretation. Or building relationships with other people, friends and family that in the moment and overriding it gives you something. I don't know that gives me purpose, right? So if I drop dead tomorrow, there's no I'm not missing anything because I didn't sit down and do a mission statement of what my existence is all about. I just don't. I feel like we want to lift that up a little bit. If you decide you want to be the fastest runner in the Olympics or the best teacher of science that any school has ever seen, or you want to, whatever the thing is that you kind of hone in on that pulls you to it, go for it, right? Like just be really good at it and do it. Do what it takes to do that thing. Don't let it go just because you're like, well, I don't really shouldn't have whatever, right? Go for that thing. But the pressure of finding your individual purpose out of billions of people who ever exist, I feel like that's a bit much.
All right, thank you, Sid Talk.
Well no problem. I took all my breath away.
Well articulated.
Thanks so much.
ascully.com, that's the place you can go to get this podcast. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, those are social media networks that we're on. I'm A Scully, she's Sid Talk. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube, everywhere that podcasts are available. Email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Do not email Sid Talk. She doesn't want your email because you suck.
That's not true. Maybe you do, but I don't think so.
And finally, stay classy, Mr. Timothy Chalamet. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Dune 2 very shortly.
Aye. And I'm going to say, think for yourselves, because if you don't do it, someone's doing it for you.